wasn't it? I'm just reading on this ticket in front of me, the flowers of Ohope Beach that you loved to pick. So that's very nice too, and all others too. It just how happens that one's sitting right in front of me, so I can see it. As a family, we welcome you all today and thank you for being here and for your special thoughts of James and the ups and downs of him during his life and the love that you have all shared with him, as we have too. And we just want to know that we appreciate so much everything that anyone has ever in any way helped our son. At the end of the day, he made his own choice, as well you know. As a lasting memory, there will be a register out there for you to sign at the end of the service. Thank you. Some family members would like to say a few words, and then the floor will be open for anybody else who would like to say a few words as well. So I'll first of all call on James' eldest brother, Richard, somewhere, I don't know where he is. Oh, he came all the way from America, but of course he grew up with James too. So I'll just leave Richard now. With his two sisters. That's lovely.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming today. My name is Richard Burge, the older brother of James Burge. Everyone present today is here because we love James. Loving James meant loving him through both good and difficult times. Many of you know that James struggled with addiction for many years, and that's related to why we are here right now. There are so many questions that we will never have answered about how and why this happened, but I wanted to share a few things that I do know to be true. My siblings and I had an amazing childhood growing up on the farm at Rurfkaidu. I have many fond memories, including playing in the creek and catching tadpoles, walking in bare feet on frosty ground to catch the school bus, cutting down Christmas trees in the forest across the road, feeding the chickens, collecting eggs, raising pet lambs, playing with our neighbours, the Ramsey kids, in the forest after school. My brother James was central to all of these adventures. He was my friend, my accomplice, and my buddy. As a young adult, James trained as a carpenter and worked with wood throughout most of his life. When he created something out of wood, he completed every step himself, from cutting down the trees, milling the timber, and building the final project. He made many fine things for others out of wood, but one of the projects I was most impressed with was the interior of his own bus. The walls were covered from head to ceiling in a beautiful macrocarpa wood, cabinets, drawers, and shelves. He also built a dining table, bed, and cot for the bus. He added many practical and thoughtful details and worked hard to get the fit and finish just right. His excellent craftsmanship made that bus a beautiful and comfortable home for his young family. When it came time to relax and unwind, James was very fond of fishing. I have a particular memory of James in Ohope when he took me fishing in his boat near Whale Island. The weather was perfect, the fish were biting, and it was a great day to be out on the water. We fished, drank, and had some great laughs. It was just the two of us. Not only did James catch the fish, but when he got back on shore, he happily cleaned and cooked them. Nothing pleased him more than providing a meal of fresh fish to the family. And for James, fresh fish meant caught that day. Fishing was his happy place. I'm sure we all have good memories of James. He will be remembered as a loving son, father, brother, grandfather, uncle, and friend. In each of these roles, he made our lives richer and fuller. In his passing, there is emptiness and pain, of course. There is also confusion and maybe even anger at death coming to a man of just 56 years old. However, as long as we can remember James, he will always be with us. He lives on in our memories and stories of him, so I encourage you to share your memories with each other, today, tomorrow, and in years to come. In this way, we will be able to keep the memory of James alive forever. In closing, I'd like to thank you for coming here today. As we grieve the loss of James and mourn a future without him here, may we also find a sense of relief in knowing that his struggle is over. May we all begin to heal knowing that James is finally at peace.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
You're in the center.
Yeah, great. Unlike my brother, I need glasses. James, Jimmy, Jamis, Budgie, Birdship, and other names I can't say here. We all know him as one or more of these names. I called him James, Jamis, and Jimmy, but I also called him some of those other names I can't repeat here. He is my big brother. Jimmy and I have always had a special bond. As little kids, we played together and we fought together. This pattern carried through into our adulthood. As kids growing up, I always tried to keep up or be part of what he was doing. It was always outdoor stuff, in the sandpit or in the dirt. He needed me because I had a truck with a tip tray. He had a tractor with a front bucket. He would load my truck up and I would drive it away and dump it. I loved the fact that he needed me, even though he wouldn't never admit it. We spent hours out on the farm or over in the forest. We wouldn't be seen unless we were hungry, building huts and making tracks, playing in the creek, trying to dam it, but never really succeeding. Growing up on the farm, our family had the privilege of working and playing together. This taught us so many things. It made our family bond stronger. It was docking, shearing, hay and silage making, feeding out and various stock work. We had so much fun down at the lake. We had amazing holidays at Waioma and Whangamata, down to Waikanae, trips to Ohopi, Makatu beaches and the Mount. Our cousins were always part of these ventures. Just like we did when we were little, as teenagers and young adults, we played together and fought together. We hung out in the same circle of friends. We partied together. We went to concerts together, and we generally played up together. We navigated those times as great friends. As adults, our families always connected. We holidayed together and we coordinated being at Mum and Dad's together to ensure that our bond continued and that our kids also had that strong bond. Sorry, now I can't see. Jimmy had a streak in him, and this streak caused him to go sideways at times. Being aware of this made me keep my eye on him. Often the reason that I hung out with him was to keep my eye on him. I didn't always succeed in redirecting him. Jim was his own person. He always did what he wanted to do. He was stubborn, arrogant, pig-headed. He liked giving people shit, and he liked joking around. He was naughty, but he was a likeable rogue. He was also a very proud person.
He always stood tall, super friendly and kind, with a big smile, a loud laugh, and liked to have a yarn. Jimmy's relationship with alcohol started as a teenager and continued through his life. His off button seemed to be different, and it was often missing altogether. This relationship was a big part of his streak and his sideways motions, and in the end, a big part of his demise. I will remember all our good times, all the laughs that we had, all the mischief that we got up to. So many memories, Jimmy. Your pain is over now, and you are no longer suffering. However, our pain will remain, and we will continue to suffer. But our family is strong, and over time, I know that that pain will fade. Maria, Stanley, and Molly, James lives through you. You are a very important connection to our brother. Make him proud. I know you will.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Shall I take this?
Thank you, James' brother and two sisters. What they have expressed is the same for all our family. Our extended family particularly have been always involved, whether they came from no, we didn't have any extended family at Rirwhakaitu, but we had extended family around the district and around the Waikato and Bay of Plenty areas. And thank you all very much for that. We are happy for anybody who would like to make a comment or two or three or whatever to come forward now and do that. Does anybody? Pardon? Oh, Stanley and Molly first. Where are you? Stanley and Molly are James's children. Well, two of James's children. His other daughter is in Australia. Stanley, Molly, and their mum, Gabriel.
I haven't really written anything, but I've just jotted a few memories down. There's a whole lot of faces out there. And yeah, Dad usually always knew how to bring the crowd in. Motocross was a huge part of my life, thanks to Dad. Shaped me into the person I am today. Got a couple of stories of those times. If you knew Dad, you knew he was hard but fair. Can remember this particular day. The last thing he told me after racing was to make sure I closed the toolbox. And obviously forgot to close the toolbox. And yeah, dragged me out of bed down to the shed by my ear and made me WD-40 all the tools. So yeah, that was great. Another one would be first night of the New Zealand Motocross Nationals, and we're staying down at his mate Mike Ramsey's place, and they had a bit of a big night, and yeah, we slept in and late to briefing, and he can't even remember driving there, so that was also great. Yeah, basically I just want to thank him. Thank you, Dad, for everything you did for me, everything you taught me, how passionate you were about giving, how passionate you were about giving everything you had into motocross for us kids. You were my hero, and I looked up to you. Even though you're not here, I'll continue to make you proud by trying to give my kids the life that you gave me and Molly.
Hi everyone, I'm Molly, James's daughter. First, I just want to thank you all for coming to celebrate the life of my dad today and supporting our family at this time. Growing up, I couldn't have asked for a better childhood. Dad always put me and Stanley before anything else. He worked so hard when I was young to buy a section of land up in the bush in Paddytonga. We lived there in a bus for the first 4 years of my life. Eventually, he cleared some bush and moved a house onto a section he had picked out for us. At this time, Dad had the great idea of teaching me how to drive a digger at the ripe age of 4. The fondest memory I have from that place is every night when dinner was ready, Dad would have to blow a whistle to call me and Stanley in, as he had no clue which direction of the bush we were playing in. The life Dad gave us was unmatched, and I will treasure those memories for the rest of my life. As a kid, I was Dad's little girl. I'd go everywhere with him, and I was sure to never let go of his pinky finger. As a shy kid, he always pushed me out of my comfort zone and would support me in anything I wanted to do. He was the first person to tell me he's proud of me, and also the first person to tell me to pull my head in when I needed to. A favourite memory of mine with Dad over the past few years was playing games of pool at their Hopi club. We would even enter in competitions there together. He would usually play really good until he missed the black ball on the last shot, which got annoying being his partner. I wouldn't be who I am today without him. He taught me so much, and I'm most of all glad it was him who taught me how to drive and not Mum. It breaks my heart to know that one day he won't be able to meet my children, walk me down the aisle, or see me grow up into the young lady he raised me to be. But if you've met my brother, you know the apple doesn't fall fast, so I'm sure I'll be well looked after. I miss you so much already, Dad. I would give anything to have... I'd give anything to have just one more day at the beach with you. But I know that even though you're not here physically, your heart lives on in me. I will carry it with me on bad days and good days, and until one day we meet again, I will find comfort in knowing that you'll always be with me. In a world where love isn't always freely given, he showed me its true meaning. He is my first heartbreak and my hardest goodbye. But I would still choose him to be my dad in every lifetime. I love you forever and always, from your Molly.
I'm Gabrielle, the mother of Stanley and Molly Burge. I met James when I was 23. He was so handsome with his long curly hair, and he quickly became my James. You were such a hard worker, fun, happy, and so annoying, but you made us laugh. To Stanley and Molly, you were their world. They loved you. You were so dedicated to them in so many ways. You loved them back 100%. James and I rekindled our relationship 8 months ago. James, I've enjoyed that time with you at a Hopi beach, a place we loved as a family also. I'm heartbroken, James. You'll always be my James. Rest easy, love.
That helps, doesn't it? That does help. Good news. I am opening the floor if any... Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to use the speaker, aren't I? I am opening the floor. If anybody would like to say a few words, you'll be very welcome. Thank you very much.
I hadn't actually planned on saying anything, but so I'm Sheree, and these two of my three sisters, Karen and Pauline, and we're the Tootle cousins. So just hearing you guys talk about memories growing up on the farm. We were the Townie cousins who lived in Hamilton, but very blessed to often spend holidays out at Ruawhakaitu. And we used to swap. Two Burges children would come to Hamilton and two Tootle girls would come out to Ruawhakaitu. And I am 2 months and 3 days older than James, and it was super important to me. Because I'd go to the farm and I'd be the Townie cousin who couldn't do jack shit. And I used to have to keep up with my cousin. And I used to make a point of the fact that I was 2 months and 3 days older than him, and he couldn't tell me what to do. So if he played in the stream, I played in the stream. If he climbed the fence, I climbed the fence. If he told me to touch the fence and it was electric, I'd still touch the fence. Whatever James did, I could do it. So he was a very important part, I think, in growing up and me having confidence to actually do things and prove myself and just believe that I could do things that I didn't think I could, but I had to prove to him that I could. So I just wanted to share that memory of being a Tootle Townie cousin.
Competing with the farm kids.
Yeah.
Disappearing around the farm all day.
Yeah.
All of us. No adults.
No adults.
Richard and James.
City kids. And we came to the town and came to the country and met very many fond memories of my little cousin. Thank you, James. I know. He wasn't, I don't think he was ever actually littler than me, but not that I can remember.
We're not known for
But the age difference was important.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, girls. They were special holidays, there's no doubt about that. These townies coming to Ruawhakaitu was really quite interesting at times. So. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Miles Burnson. Firstly, Catherine, myself and our family offer our deepest condolences to James's family. We were imports into Ruawhakaitu
That's very nice, thank you.
around 1989. White Tap Tavern was our local for rehydrating after a hard day on the hill, which is first why I became acquainted with James and Liz when she came home from a uni break. An early memory that stands out with James, I was at a social gathering at a cottage on Ramsey's Dairy Farm on Northern Boundary. He threw an empty beer can that unintentionally hit me in the head. James being James, threw it in one direction and it went the other and hit me. I reminded him a few years later and he says, "First time I got on the piss with you hard, you were drop kicking empty Steiny bottles around the pub." Anyway, we came to the conclusion if the offender didn't remember it, it didn't happen. Ruawhakaitu was a damn cold place in winter, but it was a close-knit, warm community. Mary taught 3 of my 4 children as junior entrants. As my friendship with James grew, I realised he had some good skills with a hammer and carpentry, where I was pretty good with a chainsaw, but I was dangerous with a hammer. So over time, we utilised his skills at our property at 404 Brett Road. James and Gabriel and young Stanley moved from Riri to Tahuna. I went to the housewarming party. The next day, after a good night, James says, "I'll show you around the property." It was steep but partially tracked. So Stanley on his little 2-stroke bike, myself on James's farm bike, and James on the quad went forth. On the way back, James suggests, "Oh, we'll have a race on the way back." So Stanley gets the whole shot, and that's motocross turns, getting around the first corner. James overtakes me on the outside and goes straight over the bank. He was one lucky man. The quads are quite unforgiving. It bounced over him, just clipping him, ending up in the scrub, some 30 metres down, wedged upside down on a big carnuka. It was a real jackass antic that had me shaking my head, something you see on reels on Facebook. As we were bringing up our families and slaving to make money for our growing families, we'd catch up at motocross meets that both our sons were involved in. Christmas was a time we normally caught up as we'd moved to the Whakatane district. James and family, Liz, Mick and their kids made the pilgrimage to Ocean Road, Ahopi for the summer holidays. They were fun times. Anyway, James sold Waititi Road and moved to Hurau Road on the outskirts of Thames on the Hauraki Plains. Thames was my hometown where my mum lived and my mates grew up. So we used to catch up on a fairly regular basis and drag him along to social events. Then James sold Hurau Road and moved to the Burges section on Ocean Road, Ahopi. He used to give me a hand doing tree jobs and property services in the general area. James was a good worker and could use a chainsaw. He had a great talent of making rustic outdoor furniture. He revamped a Remu table for us. We'd built a 4-bay garage on our property at Pikawai. He built my workbench and shelving and an amazing bar, all utilised from the material we had already had. James was famous for getting himself into some situations. I reflect on one and I'll recall this. It happened a couple of summers ago. James had lost his licence and his whip to get around on was a mountain bike. He had attached a Bluetooth speaker to the handlebars and listened to music that he'd downloaded as he got about. I called around one afternoon after work and noticed he'd lost a lot of bark off his knees, elbows and face. I go, "Crikey, Cobble, what have you been up to?" He says, "I was riding home the early hours of the morning with my Bluetooth going, but not the music playing. He'd downloaded an app of cows mooing." And a disgruntled resident of Pahutakawa Ave came charging out of the house with his pyjamas on and crash-tackled James off his bike. James went to the cops to make a complaint, but he'd ruffled their feathers, so they weren't interested. Anyway, Ocean Road had some memorable New Year's Eve celebrations. Some of them nights I don't remember, but they were with a mate I'll never forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Miles. Thank you. It's got his best notepaper too.
James Jimmy Jamis. As Liz said, they were some of the names that people called him. Already been touched on by the Burge family. We moved next door to them on Northern Boundary Road, probably when I was about 7 or 8, I suppose. And used to spend a lot of time with the Burges after school, playing in the forest or on the farms. Us boys, the two houses were almost a mile apart to the metre. And Richard and James and myself and Brent, we built a hut pretty much halfway in between. Used to punch the old man's smokes from the laundry, and we'd go down there and have a cigarette. Thought we were and a beer.
something.
It was all very good until the girls decided they needed to come along too, and we got bloody caught.
I think you've got some competition here.
So, yeah, went to Cubs together, Scouts, Jamboree. Then Mum and Dad bought a farm down Rainbow Mountain, so we sort of moved down there, continued to go to school. Went to Reparoa sometimes. When we left school, the Ruwhakauru boys, most of them ended up in Rotorua here with their first jobs, and some of the Reparoa boys as well. Country boys coming to town. I don't know who was more shocked, the town or the country boys. So not long after, I think we were still in our first jobs. As previously said, James was a carpenter with Hawkins Construction. Me, Martin and him were living in a caravan at Redwood Motor Park for a while there. Meeting people in town, going to parties, having a good time. One of my memories of the caravan was James coming home from work and his stinking feet. Used to make him take his socks off outside with his boots before he was allowed into the caravan, because it'd stink us all out. So we sort of all bounced between Ruwhakauru and Rotorua, and the Waitap being stomping ground, like Miles said. I remember a party on, I think it was the Lakeland Queen, that one of the Rotorua girls had set up. And all the Ruwhakauru boys turned up. And me and Darren ended up in a bit of a punch-up on the boat. And the boat was back at the dock at that stage. And James took me off the boat, and we're standing there having a laugh about it and a few beers, and Darren comes storming up the thing. I'm going to fucking kill you, Ramsey. And James intercepted him on the way, basically to try and stop the fight from re-emerging. And bugger me, the police turned up and arrested the both of them. So I walked up to the police and, oh, I think you got the wrong guy. He was just trying to break it up. It's me that you want. And they wouldn't have a bar of it. So we waited outside the police station until they got released and jumped in the car, and I think we took Darren and maybe Martin up north the very next day. And me and Darren had to sit beside each other in the back seat of the car with black eyes. And but, then a bit later on in life, Mum and Dad bought a farm over in Braglan, and a crew of us went over there to help fence the farm up into deer fencing. So there's the Thai boys, Dave and Malcolm, me and James, and we hooked up with Eddie Brown over there, who was looking after the farm. It was that bloody wet. The fencing for me and James turned into just getting fencing gear there for the other guys. And we spent a lot of time, pretty much all day, on four-wheelers, getting fencing gear there, because nothing else could get the material out there. So as four-wheeler motorcycle skills sort of took place there. We had turns at writing off vehicles, writing off quads on the old man's farm back there. James moved back to Rary Way, and I stayed in Raglan. Our paths keep crossing all through life at different stages. Then he met Gabe's. I met Dylan's mother, and I ended up in Benidale. So I got my first house down there, and I got James to come down and build our kitchen. So, as also has been touched on by the family in Miles, he's very famous at the rustic tables and the different furniture. And he came down and built the kitchen the same way out of the microcover slabs that he had milled himself. And built me a mean kitchen. Him and Gabe's and Stan. Not sure if Molly was there then. I don't think she'd come along quite. They were all living in the bus down at our place for about a month or so. Might have been 6 weeks while he built the kitchen for me. Then our next thing was motocross with the kids. We'd quite often go and stay up there with them at the house up the road there from Pariatonga if we were racing at Pariatonga, and they were always big nights. Haven't been there for him in the last few years. The odd message, the odd phone call, try to get him to come fishing, but to no avail. And I'm sorry about that, James. I'd also like to acknowledge a couple of the brothers that couldn't make it today. Doug Ngātai and Branson. They send their love. And most of all, I'd like to thank the family for allowing me to share the last couple of days with them and James. And they told me.
Michael was in the hospital with us when James passed.
Thank you.
Te aroha le whakapono me te rangi mai e tātou tātou e te aroha te whakapono me te rangi mai e tātou tātou e.
Thank you, Mary.
Yes, those naughty boys up and down Northern Boundary Road. Of course, the girls were not involved. They didn't know anything about it. Oh, sorry. Didn't everybody hear that those were naughty boys? I'm sure it wasn't Michael's problem, Michael's fault, was it, Michael? No. And just to complete that little story, Michael was with me holding hands when Jane passed, so that was very special. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Anyone else like to have a few words? I think we've got a lot of things to think about up here. Put the microphone down, Susan says. Right. Michael had it up. Okay. Thank you. We have somebody. Yep, thank you. Yes, those kids had a wonderful childhood on Northern Boundary Road. They really did. Thank you. Yes, I know.
Kia ora te whānau. Ko Gareth Duncan te tōku ingoa. From Kirikiriroa. I'm Gabriel's big brother, and so I wanted to... Yeah, the big brother. So I just wanted to acknowledge the whānau, the Burge whānau today, and in particular on behalf of the Duncan whānau, and the extended group that are here to acknowledge you all. My mother Shona, my stepdad Bill Farrell, to my father Bob and stepmother Carol Duncan, to my younger sister Regan, partner Garth, and Carter and Frankie, to my wife Maureen, children JVL, Reese, Rain and Jed, and on behalf of all of us, to their cousins Stanley and Molly, we extend a very large condolences and heartfelt love to you all and to the grandchildren. We the Hamiltonians as well, were the townies that would go out to the bus, and I particularly was impressed with James. I think that's great to actually mention that his skills were second to none. That we experienced that bus. I'm a school teacher that dabbles at a whiteboard and doesn't have practical skills at all. In fact, these chalkboard hands wouldn't be able to hammer a nail. So it was really impressive, his skills. I think it's useful to acknowledge that he had this inquiry mind. He always took the piss out of me constantly around what it meant to educate children. And I think that in this contemporary world, this world that we've got right now, I think perhaps that he had it right in terms of his ways of actually bringing people to their passions and to the life that they lead, to the life cycle that he gave his own children. So James, I acknowledge the fact that I think you did a bloody good job with that, and so you need to know that you sit in your new paradise. And I call myself the brother-in-law. Well done to you. Your mind was clever, and I'm. It's a shame perhaps that you didn't find that. Perhaps you did find that. There's a moment that James, I won't name the school, but the kids had some issues at school, particularly Stanley, and your dad rang me and said, "I'm sick of this effing school. Can you help me?" Gareth said, "Yeah, dead right." And so we set about to put a plan together for him, the old man, to go and see the school. And he was right. They mistreated you and what happened. And I think that your dad was an example of that. Pushed for what you two needed, all three of you, and he stood for what was right and what was just. And so that stood out for me, and that stood out for me in my profession, that he took the time to actually hold people to account. And so I just want to share that with you, that I think there is a man there with that fish, that snapper, that we all know that had those attributes. And I think it's a real shame that's not continuing. And I just want to say, I'm not an advocate for mental health and for what men perhaps need, but if there was a window dressing of something here, can I say 0800 talk? Let's ensure as men that we do that we find the way to share the messages, and in particular that we around these people do sing out and make sure that we check in. And so lastly, to that end, let's look after each other. Let's be the legacy that he leaves is perhaps shining the light on what it is that we need to do for people who struggle with addiction and those type of things. I'm really pleased today that we've acknowledged this, and so thanks very much for bringing that up, Mary, to Barry and yourself, to whānau, our love with you. Seeing that the kids went to a Catholic school, and I'm a left footer as well, I'm just going to finish with, in my way, and I hope it doesn't offend anyone, for whatever faith that you walk the footsteps in, then I'm just going to share a bit of piece of my faith. And in loving Christ, we wish you well, James. We bid you farewell. May the petrol light shine upon you, and may you rest in peace. And we make this prayer in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless.
an old friend. I mean, she's not old. The friendship's old. Nice to see you, Pat. Thank you. Whoops, I'm tangled up with you.
You're hooked on me, eh?
Yeah, I am hooked on you. There you go.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pat Dale, originally from Refcote. Mary and Barry, Mr. Burge, was a neighbour.
Mr. Burge, but I taught her kids, and I didn't get Mrs. Burge.
You gave me permission to call you Mary a few years ago. And I got on really good with James. What I can remember, I think he was our paper boy, wasn't he, at one stage? Because I had these papers thrown over the fence, and I thought, at the pub one day, and James said, "Did you get your paper?" So he must have felt sorry for me because I couldn't afford to buy a paper, so he dropped me one off over the fence. My children have sent their condolences to the family. Chubb, Donna, Helena, Zara was a mischief like James, and Serena. Very sad to hear what happened, but that's life, and we have to accept these things. And it was a privilege to know you, James. You were a good boy, but mischief. And I was told to say hello to Gabrielle from Zara. Thank you.
We had to go past Pat's place on Yankee Road to get to Northern Boundary Road from school, didn't we, Pat? Yeah. Thank you, Pat. Is there anyone else who wants to say anything? Thank you all very much for your tributes. That's all right. That's all right.
I'm Michael. Mr. and Mrs. Burge, Gabriel, Stanley, Molly, Richard, and the greater family. I'm so very sad and angry. I've been a friend of James for not so long, maybe 3 years, but even more so, I've been a friend of him since I've moved to Hopi. And over the last year, I've grown to know him, know of him, him and him of I, and we've had some bloody good times together. And we've had some bad times together. I'm angry because over the last month, because I just haven't seen the declination of James and being able to do anything about it. That's why I'm angry with myself. I'm also angry with the local practitioner who's been dealing with James. I should be taking this further. And I've pledged James his name to bring back these offenders and this offender. Gabrielle, you know who I mean and what I mean. It's been a very happy time for myself and for the local, for James's family, knowing how he's put up with things, and at last how he hasn't put up with things. He's been a great friend. He will always be in my mind.
You have been very good, I know. This is one of my sisters.
Hi, I'm Kathleen, and I just wanted to say, I just remember James as a lovely, lovely boy. He just was so welcoming, so friendly, so happy every time I saw him. And we used to go down and take our motorhome down to Ohopi in the last few years, and he always made us feel so welcome, and we so enjoyed his company. He was a treasure, and I'm so sad he's not here anymore.
One dear sister and another dear brother.
Yes, I'm Robert. I'm Mary's youngest brother, the youngest of 6. I'm coming from a very different perspective than some of the other speakers have come from. I didn't know, had very little to do with James in his younger days, but I just endorse what my sister Kathleen said. That I remember my mum saying when he used to come to our place as a little kid, she said he had a wonderful disposition. And the other little thing I have to share that my wife said to me on the way here this morning, she said, I always found James such a gentleman. He always treated me with such respect. And yeah, that's about all I've got to share really. And I just endorse Gabrielle's brother's comments that I'm a Christian believer. I believe that he is not on any highway to hell. He's on going. I believe there's a better place for our nephew than that. We pray that in Jesus' name.
Thank you, everyone. Very treasured memories and very special thoughts that you've extended to us and to our family. Thank you very much. James was born on Anzac Day, and we just not long moved to Ridifakaitu, and here was me in the maternity hospital listening to the dawn parade and all the Anzac songs and trying to have a baby at the same time. So it all happened. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to chase me away. Okay. Thank you very much for all your kind tributes. James was a special one of our 4 children. All our children are special. And as I say, we hadn't been at Ridifakaitu very long when James was born, and what happened to be Anzac Day. So his birthday is never forgotten, is it? No. Oh, thank you very much, everyone. That's just lovely. It's a pretty special kid. Okay, so we will have refreshments. No, not, sorry. Are we going straight to the cemetery? Sorry? Oh, that's right. Sorry, Bill. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. He's looking at me as much to say, what the heck are you doing? Yeah, okay.
Mama told me when I was young,
Thank you all so much. We loved our son. We loved him before we even knew we had him. We loved him. And yes, we know, as his parents, that there were lots of ups and downs. But we also know that all the way along, he had help and support and lots of love. He had many very strong attributes, some of which he developed and extended, some of which lay latent. Thank you for being our son, brother, and family member. And thank you all for supporting and loving him and us in various ways, and most of all, each other. We all need each other at these times. Thank you also to Osborne's Funeral Parlour, we've been working with over the last few days, and absolutely great service. Thank you very much. There he is standing there. We are moving out to the cemetery. Don't ask me for directions. Can you do that? Can you give them directions for the cemetery? You're going to follow me, don't that? I'll follow James, right, okay. James won't lead you astray this time, I promise. I've seen it. Oh, Mick. No, you lead yourselves astray. He didn't lead you astray. Okay, so we're moving to the cemetery for the burial. After the burial, you are very welcome to come to our home at 19C Ofota Road, where we will have a cup of tea and something to eat probably. And thank you very much for attending here today. Please, if you don't know, you won't know people. I mean, I'm looking out here and there are people I don't know, and yet you are friends or family of James's. And so just make yourselves known to each other. And yeah, I remember him when he did whatever, because there are plenty of whatevers that he did or didn't do. But as a family, thank you all for being here. Well, on behalf of our family, our extended family, thank you very much. Pardon? Oh, right, sorry. Susan is just as well. I've got kids to remind me things, isn't it? If you come to 19C Ofota Road, if you wouldn't mind parking out on the roadside, there's a lot, we go in on a lane and we're at the end, at the end of that lane. So if you could park out on the roadside and just walk in, it's only not very far. I don't think you'll get too tired. Alrighty? It's a lovely day outside and thank you all very much. Now, I'm looking around and there are faces I don't know, but you were here because of our son. And we loved him, same as we love all our kids. And we're just very sad that it's ended in this way. Thank you all very, very much for care over, how old was he? Well, for 53 years? 56, sorry, I don't even know how old my kids are. You know, at various stages of his life, various ones of you have been involved in various ways, and that's much appreciated. I'd also like to thank, as we are closing, the wonderful funeral directors that have got all this set up for us and got the setting here and so on. Thank you. Standing at the back there. Just ask you to have a chat, catch up with each other, and join us later. Thank you very much.